Hi, my name is Kushi. I am always happy with my friends. Hi. Hello, my name is Marika Chetri. I think every facility provided by the city is very good. My name is Sundar Sherpa. My favorite class is English class.
Hi, I am Pratham Tamal. We just had a mathematics class. It was very good.
Hi, my name is Shail Kamal. I am very eager to learn. Hi, my name is Tanya. When I was small, I used to live in the old hostel. Right now, I'm in the new hostel. It's so good.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our celebration event. Our lifeblood is our community of friends and supporters from around the world, many of whom who have joined us this afternoon, or this morning from the USA, or this evening from India. Today's event is a wonderful opportunity to bring you closer to us and to see for yourself the difference that has been made to children's lives in Darjeeling. Darjeeling is a remote corner of the world in the foothills of the eastern Himalayas. It is beautiful. It's also got a fascinating history and culture, but it's aside that, it faces economic challenges and in some areas, deep social deprivation. Marlon Adams and Sharon Patel first visited as volunteer teachers and founded Darjeeling Children's Trust in 2008, together with the help of Major Wongde, our man in the ground in Darjeeling, and others like myself were inspired to follow suit. We have a shared vision to provide a brighter future for children and young people in Darjeeling. The Trust has organically evolved, developing a deep culture of care and support with high professional standards. Akasa is one of our brilliant new trustees. Over to you, Akasa.
Thank you so much, Hugh. It's a pleasure to be here. Welcome, everyone. I'm one of the newer trustees, as Hugh mentioned. I joined as a trustee in October last year after visiting Darjeeling Children's Trust in Darjeeling. I'm actually from Gangtok, which is in a neighboring state, Sikkim. It's around 3.5 hours drive on a good day, but often the roads are terrible, so it usually takes much longer than that to get there. Darjeeling is a really special place for me and my family. It's where we used to visit as children, and it has a really special place in a lot of people's hearts. Me and Hugh have been thinking, and the trustees wider than us as well have been thinking a lot about community in planning this event. And what does it mean to be in community, especially in such a global context? You can see from the chat that we've got so many people joining us from so many different places today. And I was reflecting on my time in Darjeeling with Ashwin and the team who are also here today, and the wonderful children. And I think the important thing for us is the children at the home have built a community there. They've shared experiences, laughter, fun. They're always helping one another. They're creating lifelong bonds with each other, fueled by their curiosity, creativity, and trust. The home that you'll hear about today has given them space to build the foundations of their community. And today we hope that we can invite you into this fold. As a small charity, it's really important to us that our supporters, donors, volunteers feel really close to the work that's happening in Darjeeling and be a part of making a difference themselves. I'll be back later on in the event to tell you more about how you can support if you're joining us from outside Darjeeling. And we hope you have a wonderful time. Back to you, Hugh.
Thank you, Akasa. So what have we got in store for you today? Well, first of all, behind the scenes up here in Yorkshire with me, we have Alan and Becky Taylor, who are pressing all the buttons and keeping the programme on track. So good to see you guys, and thank you very much for your help. Alan's currently the chair of the Rotary Club of Pontefract, and with their support too, we've been doing some great things. Thank you, guys.
Not a problem.
Thanks,
Thanks, everyone.
So we have an ambitious programme that we've created today. You'll hear from our teams working across different projects. You'll have evidence of the positive impact that your support is making on children's lives. You'll be astonished by the journeys recently undertaken by two of our ardent supporters, and you'll see incredible images of those adventures. And from Marilyn Adams, one of our trustees and our founding chair, Marilyn Adams and the team, we have the quite remarkable story of the Children's Home Construction Project. It's a truly miraculous undertaking against all the odds, and it's finally coming to fruition this year after 12 years. So hold on to your seats as we zoom you across cities and continents, and our first stop is down at Bristol to meet our chair, Katie Carr.
Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me okay. Hello from Bristol, UK. Really good to see you all this afternoon or morning or evening, depending on where you are. My name's Katie. Some people know me as Catherine. Either is fine. I've been a trustee since the trust was founded in 2008, and I've been the chair of the trust since 2020, so just over 4 years now. The trust has changed a huge amount over that time. When we came together, first of all, we were a small collective of well-meaning people trying to raise a few £100, maybe for some stationery supplies. 16 years later, we've spent over £1 million in Darjeeling and transformed the lives, the current lives and the future lives of many hundreds of children and young people. And we've done all of that with the help of the people on this call. Throughout the years, we have prioritised community, and that means a number of different things. It's our theme for today, and I think personally it's what has allowed us to succeed and be so special over the years. But it means community in Darjeeling and also community of DCT, of which everybody on this call is a part. So in Darjeeling, our approach has been always to engage with the whole community, not just individual children, but also their families, their carers, their schools, to make sure that everybody supports their progress and we make decisions all together on behalf of the children and young people and with them for their best interests. We've always prioritised keeping individual links with every child and young person that we support, and that has meant that on many occasions we've been able to be really flexible in responding to their needs on an individual basis. For example, if they need extra tuition, extra provision for accommodation, for example, we can address those needs in a community approach. During COVID, when we were less able to run activities on the ground, we also conducted a community needs assessment where we brought together the children, those who support the children, other NGOs in Darjeeling, and really looked at what are the gaps in provision in the community in Darjeeling and how can we address those. And that meant that we've been able to develop new projects. And so one really good example is on career counselling, where we realised there is really no provision for children and young people to think about what they want to do in the future. And we've been able to take some steps to address that gap. And finally, on the sort of Darjeeling end of community, we want to help the whole town. So I think it's actually really important that we're partnering with other NGOs there. We're giving young people qualifications so that they can actually choose to stay in Darjeeling if they want to and work there and support their families close to home, close to where they've grown up. And we're also employing local people to deliver our projects, which is really important. And then there's the other half of community, which is community of the trust, community of DCT. And that's everybody on this call. So supporters, trustees, employees, everybody together, which makes the trust such a special organisation. I'm going to introduce you to a few members of our team. So I'm going to give some shout outs, and if I call your name, give us a wave. So first we'll go to Marilyn Adams. So as Hugh said, she's our co-founder, former chair, current trustee. Hi, Marilyn. Sharon Patel, our other co-founder. Hi, Sharon. Matthew Houghton, our treasurer. Hi, Matthew. Hugh, who you've already met, one of our trustees. Hi, Hugh. And then we're going to whiz over to Switzerland to meet Shering Huber, one of our trustees. Are you there, Shering? We'll just wait for a moment for the technology to catch it. There's Shering. Shering grew up in Darjeeling, so she is an excellent source of insight for us about how to really plug into that community in India. Akasa Pradhan, who you've already met. Just a wave, Akasa, if you're there. While we're waiting for Akasa, I'll also say hi to Matt and Jen, two of our other trustees. There they are. And Graham Corey.
Hi.
Hi, Graham. We'll hear more from Graham in a minute. And then also we have Kirsty, who's our wonderful project officer in the UK. Are you there, Kirsty?
I am. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Kirsty. We have Ashwin. So we're whizzing over to Darjeeling now.
Hello.
Are you there, Ashwin?
Yeah, hello everyone.
Hi, Ashwin. Hi. And Alok, our project support officer in Darjeeling. Hi, Alok. Hi. So we'll be hearing more from some of those DCT faces later in the call. But as I said, none of our success would be possible without our amazing supporters all over the world. Some of you have been with us since day one. Others, this might be the first time you've ever heard about DCT. But regardless, we're extremely lucky and privileged to have such a network of incredible support. We're going to hear from Tom Waring and Mike Havard later in the call, two of our supporters who have had some very envy-inducing adventures in our name. But I'm just really glad and delighted that so many of you have been able to join the call today. As Hugh said, we're going to hear about our projects in Darjeeling. When we had one of these calls 3 years ago during lockdown, we talked about progress in rebuilding the Krapasaran Children's Home. And this time we have the really amazing prospect of the project actually being completed. It never fails to amaze me how difficult it is to change children's lives, because so many people have to come together to make it happen in such a difficult way, but also how simple it is just to give people that little bit of leg up and that little bit of support. And actually that can change the whole course of their life for them and for their the future generations of their own children. So I guess I just want to finish this part of the event by saying thank you, a huge and heartfelt thank you from me on behalf of DCT and behalf of the children and young people that we help in Darjeeling, to all of you for supporting us over the years. And we really couldn't do it without you. Please enjoy listening to everything which we've achieved together. Just before I hand back to Hugh, I'll reflect just for a moment on my own time with the Trust. So I'm stepping down as chair and as a trustee next month after 16 years of being involved. It will be a very sad moment because DCT has been a part of my life for so long and I will miss it a lot. But it is the right time to step away. And I'm leaving the Trust in the safe hands of everybody on this call. Of course, it will thrive and flourish. I have no doubt about that. And I will stay one of its most ardent supporters. Graham, who you can see on the screen there, will be taking over the role of chair when I step down. And he's going to say a quick hello today. Over to you, Graham.
Thanks, Katie, and greetings to you all. I'm so pleased to meet you, albeit virtually today. With luck, I'll meet many of you in person during my time on the board. Can I just say that the first thing that occurred to me a few months back as I researched the Darjeeling Children's Trust was that surely we couldn't make any significant difference to the lives of thousands of children in Darjeeling who could benefit from our support. Our work would surely represent an insignificant drop in a vast ocean. But very quickly I realized that although we can't support every child and young person in Darjeeling, we can make a life-changing difference for some of them. Just as Calvin Coolidge said, you can't do everything at once, but you can do something at once. And it was this opportunity to establish at least some children on a sure path to success in life that proved an irresistible draw for me to the DCT, as I suspect it does for you too. Thanks. Over to you, Hugh.
Thank you very much, Katie and Graham. And we're now going to transport you to Darjeeling and to Ashwin and Major and Pima Banti and the team over there. I think you'll enjoy this part of the programme. Thank you.
Hello. Hello all. My name is Ashwin, and I'm going to do a presentation on Darjeeling. So my role over here is to oversee all the projects of Darjeeling Children Trust. Out here, you can see the map of India, and you can see Darjeeling. It's a small town surrounded by many countries like Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, and Sikkim also. And you can see that how isolated it is and how difficult the geography of Darjeeling is. But still, the people are very happy and the children are resilient. We have a beautiful mountain, Mount Kanchenjunga, overlooking Darjeeling. And we are very famous, as you know, for Darjeeling tea, the toy train. And sometimes we are also very infamous for a certain electricity cut off. So suppose I freeze while giving this presentation, don't worry. You can blame the geography. You can blame the geography of the Himalayan region. But I'll be back soon. Let me take you to the other slide. Can you please shift the slide? Yeah, this is the most recent photo that we took of the children's home. This is what the Darjeeling Children Trust has been doing for the last 16 years, and it has grown so much. And this structure, it holds about 50 girls and 50 children. And it has been a painstaking work here on the ground, as well as the first trustees, and as a community, we all have brought it to life. And you must be wondering, like, how, where does the children come from, and how does it run? So I'll take you on a journey on that. And the next slide will show you the children. Yeah, this is Dabepani, one of the most remotest village in the rural area of Darjeeling. So what you can see out here is the children. They come from these areas where there is no proper health and hygiene facilities, nor there are schools, nor there are proper roads. And these children are the first generation in their family to go to a proper school. So therefore, I personally feel that they are very deserving to have a proper education, to have health and hygiene facilities. And when they come back to the children's home after their winter break, they feel that they are in their real home. So Darjeeling Children Trust has, in over the years, it has grown in numbers, as well as it has grown gradually, like it has grown step by step. And it would not be possible without the amazing support from the trustees, our well-wishers, and the amazing team that we have on the ground. So the next slide that I'm going to show is the uh, group photo of our most recent team in Darjeeling. So it brings me great joy to show you all the working members, all the team out here in Darjeeling who works selflessly for the children, for their betterment, and each they are responsible for their role, and they are playing a great role to support the children of Darjeeling. So therefore, after this, we are going to show you a video and you are going to hear from the staff. So can we please have a video?
Hi there, this is Major Wangdi from Darjeeling. I've been a part of Darjeeling Children Trust from the very beginning. It has been a great privilege working with the like-minded group of hardworking, resourceful and dedicated friends from the United Kingdom. With just 4 sponsored children in 2008, today we have impacted more than 400 families on the various projects initiated by DCT.
Hello all, I am Jikren and I have been working with the children at the hostel for about a year. It has been a tremendous year to empower the needy children of Darjeeling. Personally, it was also good to see various safety awareness campaign for the girls.
Namaste, my name is Sangam. It inspires me to see the boys interested in the games. They like to play table tennis at the children's home, and sometimes I do take them to the field to play football. Well, we try to maintain hygiene of the hostel and assign regular duties to the children.
Hi all, my name is Alok and I assist in the workflow of various projects in Darjeeling. We are happy to have such nice children being sponsored by DCT.
Hi, my name is Dr. Shreya. She is Sister Vasanti and we are leading the health and hygiene project in Children's Home. And there's been a fair improvement in the health and hygiene of the students since they've shifted to this new building, and we are very grateful for all the support.
Hello, namaste. My name is Donna and I'm the yoga teacher here at KBM. Over the past 2 years, it has been absolute joy being with the kids and creating awareness of body, breath and the mind connection on the mat.
Hello, my name is Diakar Sharma. It has been a great experience, though it is challenging and quite demanding, but I hope my students will improve in due course of future.
Namaste, म विनिता राई र मैले यहाँ नानीहरूलाई सिलाइ क्लास सिकाउँदैछु र 10-11 वर्ष भयो र नानीहरू पनि खुसी छ र म पनि खुसी छु तपाईहरुसँग यसरी मिलेर काम गर्नु पाउँदा।
पुरानो भन्दा त अहिले नयाँ त पुरा सुविस्ता छ नि हो, सबै कुरोको सुविस्ता, पानीहरूको सुविस्ता छ, सानो अब राम्रो चिटिकै सफा छ।
They are getting almost every kind of facility here comparing to the mission where we used to stay. So I hope the children will have a better life and better future in the mission by the help of Darjeeling Children Trust.
That was the team on the ground. And apart from the daily work that we do in Darjeeling, we also conduct a lot of health and hygiene classes. And out here in the picture, you can see various health and hygiene classes being conducted by various local enthusiasts who help the children. Last year, we had Dr. Shiwani from Sikkim. Their team, they came all the way from Sikkim to cater for the needs of the children. And on that day, they took care of about 135 children, and they did the extraction, filling, especially for the young children who are losing their baby tooth. And last year, similarly, we did an eye camp, and with the help of Darjeeling Children Trust, we were able to distribute about 30 spectacles, eyeglasses to the children. So the health and hygiene has been a really good project of Darjeeling Children Trust. The next slide that I'm going to talk about is the skills for the future. So can we please have the next slide? Yeah. So in the photo, what you can see are the future nurses, future hoteliers or future hotel managers, beauticians, and future designers. So DCT not only focuses on the conventional conventional way of education, like going to college and getting a degree, but we have a lot of vocational training, like nurses and hotel management and all these things. And this has been a good example for DCT, and this has empowered a lot of children. Out here, let me share you one story. Pasang Sherpa, she belongs to one of the most remotest part of Darjeeling in Lamahatta. Her father was paralyzed, and her mother used to work in the tea garden, and she could not afford to do nursing by herself. But after 4 years, she has been now working as a nurse, and she has been supporting her family. So this is one of the one of the success story of Darjeeling Children Trust. And in future, I'm sure that in days to come, I'm sure I'll be sharing more good emails and more good success stories to you all. So the other side that I'm going to take you is about the community in Darjeeling. So you can see the other side. This is the children's at the children's home going outside with the help of our supervisors, Alok, Jikten, and Sangam. They go for an outing to the zoo, and with the help of them, they take part in local athletics, local sports. And Darjeeling, as you know, we have a very harsh monsoon. So therefore, DCT gives them rain gear to support them. So it has been a tremendous year so far, and that's my short presentation for now. Personally, what I think about DCT is that so Darjeeling out here, it's a very beautiful place with a lot of good scenery, and we see the Himalayas early in the morning. But only if you are lucky, you get to see the Himalayas because the fog is always there. The Darjeeling is very misty most of the time of the year, and it's always foggy. But out here, the children sometimes in their mind also they have this fog, or their mind is filled with this mist, and they don't see that we have such a beautiful place out here in Darjeeling. They don't see the Himalayas. But with the, I think, help of DCT, this fog is like cleared, and we get to see a beautiful range. So with the help of DCT and all your supporters, we see a beautiful future for our children. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashwin. It was so great to hear about the different projects. These projects are ongoing, and they do need your support to continue happening. So if you are inspired at all to support us on a monthly basis so we can continue this work, we'll have some options shared out with you later on in the event as to how you can do that. So in the next section, it's my pleasure to introduce Jen and Matt, who are joining us from London, who are going to talk about some of the work they're doing.
Oh, good afternoon. Many years ago, in 2008, I met Katie on a group trip abroad, and she told us about this charity that her mum and some of her friends had recently started to help the young people in Darjeeling. Subsequently, we attended the first DCT ball, which was great fun, and learned some more about the charity and its values. Their vision and projects were inspiring, and we decided to sponsor a young person. As an aside, we met this young person last year, which was a fantastic experience.
So last year, we decided to become more involved in the Darjeeling community and become trustees of the charity. We found the ethos and vision of Darjeeling's Children's Trust to be something we wanted to be part of. Consequently, we visited Darjeeling for the first time last November, and we were overwhelmed by the passion, generosity, and dedication of the team, who you can see in this slide, that we met who were on the ground in Darjeeling, ably led by Ashwin.
Next slide, please. We enjoyed working with the team, Alok, Jitin, and Sangam. for a short period of time. They even enjoyed my computer database training. Well, or they said they did anyway.
We felt privileged to become more involved in the Darjeeling community whilst we were there, and we were able to participate in various meetings.
Next slide, please.
This one was with Dr. Shreya, who, as you've seen, works at KBM, and Chuang, a nutritionist, along with Ashwin and Alok. And they were helping to design the new nutrition project just started by DCT, which aims to enhance the diet of the young people at the children's home by providing specific supplementary foods.
Next slide, please.
We're also delighted to work with Ashwin to deliver the first large group careers seminar. This will now become a yearly event and will be combined with other programs to provide a robust careers program going forward.
We were lucky enough to visit a lot of the vocational training institutes, including the Food and Craft Institute, Don Bosco College, and the hospital in Kalimpong, where one of the young students is training to be a nurse. Next slide, please. We also met young ladies doing beautician training, and Jen was delighted to get some work done. Throughout the trip, and in all our dealings with DCT, the sense of commitment and community is very evident, and we feel honoured to be associated with such an organisation. We'll now pass you on to Sherry to talk further.
Hello, I'm sorry. Hello all, I'm Sherry and I'm the middle person at DCT, literally and physically middle, as I live in Switzerland. Darjeeling is a multicultural town. There are Nepalis, they speak Nepalese, and these are Hindus. People from the plains, for example, the Bengalis who speak Bengali are also Hindus. Then the hill people like the Bhutanese, they speak Tibetan or Sikkimese, and these are Buddhists. And then, of course, there are small communities of Muslims and Christians. In Darjeeling, there are times when problems arise due to culture, caste, religion, and language. I come from this old family in Darjeeling, and I'm familiar with the do's, don'ts, and whys there. At DCT, I try to explain to both sides, the UK and India, if there an issue or a misunderstanding should come up. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my friends in Switzerland, the Evangelical Church in Binningen, the carol singers of Arlesheim, the United Nations Women's Guild, and the Hope Trust in Geneva, as well as my friends in Canada and the US. Your generosity has enabled us to build this home, a safe, clean, and happy place for our children. Please remember, a rappen, a penny, and a cent goes a long way in Darjeeling. So on behalf of the children, a big thank you, Dankeschön, and Dhanyabad. Over to you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sherry. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm very proud to be one of the co-founders of the Trust, and thanks to you and your generous support, I have seen firsthand what a difference we together have made to the children in Darjeeling. I want to thank you so much for the support, and as importantly, the love you go through the support, no matter the nature or size of your donation. Darjeeling Children's Trust is where it is today because you have all made this possible. And together, we have given the children better opportunities to develop their potential. On behalf of all the trustees and all the children in Darjeeling, we look forward to continuing the work of our trust and to succeed in our goal to help more children in the future. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Over to you, Hugh.
Well, thanks, everyone. This next section coming up is a little bit different because we've had quite amazing support in recent months from three different groups of people. We had Mitchell Dickens and Adam Green from London, who engaged in a rickshaw run from the south of India all the way to the north. And we're hoping to cover their story in a future event. But today, you're going to hear from Mike Harvard about his incredible exploits in Kashmir. And then we're going to meet up with Tom Waring, who together with his son decided to embark on a wee road trip from London to Singapore. So first of all, let's meet Mike Harvard, and then I'll drop away and Mike will tell us about his story. Hi there.
Hello, Hugh.
Hi there, Mike.
Hi, Hugh.
Welcome.
Hi, Hugh.
Looking forward to hearing all about it.
Thank you. Yeah, and hello, everybody. This is going to be a whistle-stop tour of what actually was over 2,200 kilometers as a road trip in India, in a tuk-tuk, actually. We were planning to go from Jaisalmer over the Himalaya to Leh in Ladakh. Three burly guys in one little tiny tuk-tuk to raise money principally for the DCT. Why the DCT? I first met Marilyn and Robert back in 2010, so 14 years ago, when they looked after myself and my family to help understand the work of the DCT. And I've been an avid and positive supporter of everything that they've been doing since then. And I wanted to raise some money. So we set out on this mad rickshaw ride. Mad because it's Mike, Adam and Dave were the three guys. I should say for Dave, Dangerous Dave, we'll come on to his driving in a moment, but he's dangerous by name and by nature. And to do this trip, as I said, about 2,200 kilometers or so over about 13 or 14 days. We also, just so you know, raised a little bit of money on the side for a charity Cool Earth, which was really about offsetting the guilt of us flying out to India in the first place. So it's a save the planet type charity. So a little bit of money went to them, but the vast majority, and the target was £4,000 going to the Darjeeling Children's Trust. So if we have the next slide. The start was in Jaisalmer in the desert, over 40 degrees most days. We had the tuk-tuk liveried out in the branding of the Darjeeling Children's Trust. We had a couple of days test driving and learning how to fix any problems that we might encounter along the way, such as driving into camels or being consumed by one of the many potholes on the roads in India that I'm sure you're all very familiar with. And if we move on to the next slide. The journey was an amazing journey, and the reason, there were several reasons why we wanted to go from Jaisalmer to Leh, mainly because we just loved India and it's a beautiful journey, very varied, very challenging. We wanted some challenge, but also, to be honest, there was a degree of organization in that there was the tuk-tuk waiting for us in Jaisalmer and someone ready to take it off our hands once or if we got to Leh. But everything in between was down to us, and you know, luckily there was no major issue. Although it did feel like, having sat in that thing and driven that thing for about 13 days straight, like we were sitting in a biscuit tin strapped to a lawnmower engine. So pretty challenging. So we went to places like the Wagah border with Pakistan, to the Amritsar Golden Temple. And some of you might recognize that photo on the bottom right, where all the rats are, the Karnamati temple in Deshnok, which is just an incredible temple dedicated to where basically everyone in the town believes that all of their ancestors are rats within this temple, and they cherish them, look after them, and believe that they will be there one day as well. So yeah, if we go on to the next slide. The highlight really was the journey through Kashmir. And again, I can't emphasize enough how the tuk-tuk is such an amazing little vehicle. You know, most people will see it around the cities of Delhi and Mumbai and many of the others. It really isn't designed for the roads that we were taking it over. We went over 4 passes that were more than 5,000 meters in altitude. And just to give you an example, Ben Nevis, the highest mountain in the UK, is 1,345 meters. So 3.5 to 4 times the altitude of Ben Nevis was what we were driving this incredible little vehicle over, the 3 of us in it with our luggage. A few hitchhikers along the way, including this Buddhist monk who was very grateful for us giving him a ride up the hill. If we go on to the final slide, again, just a whistle-stop tour, but in summary, we did it. It took about 13 days. We actually raised over £4,000 for the DCT. There were no catastrophes. There were many near catastrophes, particularly as you would imagine on the roads, but also with cobra snakes and a few other interesting things. And all of that in a vehicle that's 10 horsepower, 236 cc with a maximum speed, and that's maximum sort of on a good tailing wind downhill of about 65 kilometers an hour. So just amazing. We were joined by my son Matt right at the end, so 4 of us completed the trip, and just delighted to have done a little bit last year for the DCT. Oh, Hugh, I can't hear you, sorry.
What an experience. Mike, thank you so much for sharing that with us, and let's just hope that it inspires others to follow in your tuk-tuk steps.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of the time in France. I believe you're over there at the moment.
I am, and perfect timing. Someone's kicked off with some loud music just as I started talking, so apologies if there was some background noise, but yeah, no, delighted to join, and good luck with today. It's a great cause, and I, like everyone else, would be urging people to get involved and support.
Thank you very much, Mike. Okay, we're now headed up to Scotland to join Tom Wearing. A different vehicle, a rather different experience, and equally, well, not equally exciting. Well, you can tell us all about it, Tom. What an extraordinary adventure. I'm going to drop off now and leave you to tell the tale.
Thanks very much, Hugh. Well done, Mike. I think you and I, on our various adventures, share one thing in common, and that is we all ended up with numb bums. You in your tuk-tuk and us in a couple of Land Rovers. So, afternoon, everybody. Thanks for the time and give us the opportunity to talk about our London to Singapore trip. To get things rolling, let me play you a very brief video, which might show you a little bit of the various areas we went through and the terrain we bumped our way through in our Land Rovers. So, can we have the video, please? Okay, buckle up and I'll try and bring you a whirlwind pace along the route of our expedition from the start in London to the finish in Singapore. We left London on August the 6th and we had an amazing send-off. Funnily enough, a lot of people showed up and it's amazing who comes out the woodwork when some free drinks are involved. Following tradition, we left from the Grenadier pub in London, and that's where the original London to Singapore Land Rover expedition set off in 1954. Initially, our plan was to cross the channel to overnight in Belgium. However, things didn't quite work out that way. We didn't even get out of the UK before Imelda had a catastrophic engine failure. And 4 days later, with no fix possible, we ended up having to fit a new engine. But anyway, we got back on track again, and we were soon on the train for the Channel Tunnel to our first pit stop in France, the rather splendid Château de Courcouv. This gentleman here is Asifa Chowdhury. He is the largest donor that we found for the charities that we selected. So we invited him to join us for parts of the expedition, and in the end, he did most of it with us. After engine delays, we dashed through most of Europe to try and catch up on our itinerary. This is a fuel stop in Romania, the first of hundreds on the trip. And we ended up rerouting via Serbia and Bulgaria into Turkey. We then drove southeast in Turkey and spent a couple of wonderful days in Cappadocia. The balloons at dawn were spectacular, Instagrammed to death, but nevertheless, here they are. And the ancient cave cities in the Cappadocia region are fascinating too. From there, it was north and east again and out of Turkey into Georgia and on to Baku and into Azerbaijan. We were forced to take a very uncomfortable freight ferry across the Caspian Sea to Kazakhstan. 2 little Land Rovers jammed in with about 300 lorries on 5 decks was quite interesting. We couldn't get to Kazakhstan via the southerly route through Iran, overland route through Iran, nor could we really, with any degree of confidence, have a go going through Russia. British passports at that stage made both routes a definite no-no. We survived the crossing, but then we arrived in Kazakhstan and we were promptly locked up in the port of arrival for 9 hours due to paperwork issues. Once released, though, we were soon dodging the camels, and that was the point in the trip when it dawned on us that we were already a very long way from home. We spent 4 amazing days wandering the Manjustal desert region. We camped in some incredibly remote areas, and this really was proper off-roading. We were blown away by some incredible scenery and the solitude of it all. The going was very slow and brutal. The cars struggled a bit, but we absolutely loved the desert. Next slide, please. Yeah, I mean, Al and I, bit of father-son bonding going on in the desert there. It was amazing to be the only people for miles, and we loved exploring the canyons. Some of the views were totally spectacular. Here we are on a bluff overlooking the whole of the Bajura Valley. We carried on from this bluff down to the little peaks. Well, they're little peaks, they're massive, but anyway, the peaks at the bottom there. We camped to the right-hand side of the far peak in that particular shot before. Yeah, just there on the right. Next, it was into Uzbekistan, and a few days later, we pushed our way through into Kyrgyzstan. I mean, the stands served up really, truly epic scenery. Some very remote driving, and it was an incredible experience. We encountered all sorts of weather, but we really loved this part of the expedition. Our final night in Kyrgyzstan was in the very remote eastern border area, and just before crossing into China, we stayed in a yurt camp. Don't be fooled by the lovely weather. That night it got down to about -8. The little stove in the yurt gave up at about 3 a.m. and by the morning all our blankets were frozen solid. Next day we entered China via the Turgut Pass. We were the first private group to make that remote crossing since the pandemic. After endless border delays there, we made it to our first stop in China, which is Kashgar, the capital city of what we found very disturbing Xinjiang province. If I'm honest, this was not our favorite experience. Xinjiang's Uyghurs have been, shall we say, brought into the fold by the Chinese government, whether they liked it or not, and the place is managed very tightly. We were constantly stopped by police. Everything was searched all the time. Our cameras were taken from us. Most of the photos that we'd taken in Xinjiang were wiped at the various roadblocks we were detained at. So anyway, we put on a brave face, and the only way to cope was to don a silly hat and mingle. Due to what they euphemistically termed unforeseen events, the Chinese government didn't allow us to take our pre-authorized route through to Tibet. Instead, we were required to do an enormous loop of Xinjiang province, a bit counterproductive of them really, because despite being on their new mandated route, we were still able to see lots of what were described as education camps. Anyway, we finally entered Tibet from the north, from the east rather than as planned from the northwest. Along the way, and just inside the not very autonomous region of Tibet, we met this chap who was truly inspiring. He was cycling 4,000 kilometers from Beijing to Lhasa. He had two little puppies in his bicycle pannier. The puppies were so cute. Made us feel a bit idle doing this sort of trip in a couple of Land Rovers. Eventually, though, we made it to Lhasa ourselves. We were obviously impressed by Potala Palace. Absolutely splendid. And Lhasa was an incredible experience. The Tibetan people, although they're under the ever-present gaze of the recently settled Han Chinese officials there, get them privately, and they're charming, lovely people who don't moan a lot about their lot in life, but are trying to make the best of it since things have changed. Pressing on eastwards after Lhasa, we stayed a night in the border town of Jirong on our way to Nepal. One amusing thing happened there. A monkey got into our cameraman's hotel room and proceeded to poop all over his bed. So that was an interesting experience. This road here over the border and down into Nepal was absolutely spectacular, and some of the hairiest driving we had on the whole trip. Arriving in Kathmandu after that, pretty exhausted. We got there very late. We had to negotiate the insane traffic in Kathmandu in the pitch dark. Soon figured out that driving in Kathmandu is in fact a contact sport. After a couple of days in Kathmandu, we made our trip to Darjeeling. Ashwin, the staff and children made us very, very welcome. We had an incredible experience there, as many of you who've visited the school and got to know the staff and children there will attest. I mean, it's an amazing and humbling experience. We were just delighted to discover we'd chosen to support such an amazing little charity. After Darjeeling, and we also did a side trip into Bhutan for about 9 days, we drove back into Tibet via Nepal. The customs post on the Nepal border side was quite rudimentary. Tin shack, one chap, not a computer in sight, not much ink in about the 17 pens in his pot there, but they filled out the manual ledger and cheerfully waved us on our way back into China. Compare that to the typically imposing China border post, just a few hundred meters up the road, sort of gives the message really who's in control or who thinks they're in charge, doesn't it? That was interesting. We got in through the formalities in China, and the next mission was to drive east, really skirting the Himalayas and spectacular scenery, to get to Mount Everest base camp. There we were due to recreate, and we did recreate, a very famous photograph from the 1921 British Mount Everest exploratory expedition. And we took along the same campaign chairs that were used in the 1921 photograph. They're still made by a specialist company. We had to lug them all the way to Everest base camp. It was quite an effort. Asifa, who I introduced you to, sitting on the left in this photo, apart from the two photos that you'll see, he basically had an oxygen mask strapped to his face the whole time, and he found it quite a struggle. Next slide, please. There we are. We've got our expedition mascot there, and that's Mount Everest in the background of the photo. Our photographer there, Anton on the left, myself, my son, Al, and then on the right, Asifa. But our luck soon ran out, frankly. Everything had been going swimmingly. Coming down a mountain pass, Al ran out of luck, some would say ran out of talent, hit some black ice, promptly barrel rolled his Land Rover, and it was well written off. You'll see from some of these photographs. By miracle, next slide, yeah, nobody was hurt, and you know, it was about the only place on that particular mountain pass, frankly, where we could have had an accident like that and lived to tell the tale. This photo was posted on our social media, and we had hundreds of people asking us if this was blood in the picture that you can see on our rather remodeled Land Rover there, named Imelda, that one. Happy to report it was just spillage from a bottle of wine that broke in the carnage. So as I say, nobody was hurt, not a scratch on anybody. So we were very lucky. But the damage to Imelda was too severe to repair. So she was recovered and eventually shipped from Shanghai back to the UK. She's arrived back home now in lots of different bits. That left Ferdy as the sole Land Rover to continue the expedition. Ferdy is my one, and I drove Ferdy solo myself. Nobody else drove him from the start in London all the way to Singapore, 16,000 miles, about 25,000 kilometers. And having shown you what my son did to his Land Rover, you can see why I drove mine myself. But we got through Yunnan province and all the way to the border with Laos. This is the border with Laos. And then we traveled the length of Laos. Next slide, please. Yeah, beautiful. It's like turning the clock back many, many years. It was breathtaking, some of the scenery. We had a couple of down days in Luang Prabang on the Mekong River there. Again, an absolutely spectacular place. UNESCO World Heritage Site, and a lot of very beautifully preserved French colonial architecture, which was nice. Then after a couple of days in Vientiane, we made it into Thailand. And here we are, the obligatory tuk-tuk shot in Bangkok. We had a couple of days of sightseeing where we were met by a lot of our friends who, for some inexplicable reason, thought Bangkok would be a nice place to meet us. But after Bangkok, we were nursing a few hangovers, I have to say, and we drove very carefully into Malaysia. Here we are on a spectacular bridge going out of Penang. By now, I was nursing a lot of mechanical problems with Ferdy and really struggling to keep him going, but we made it eventually to Kuala Lumpur. Here's the slide out of a hotel window. I happened to win the lottery and get a window facing the right way. So that's the Twin Towers in KL. From there, it was a relatively straightforward, slightly stuttery trip down to Johor Bahru and to the Singapore border here. So that took us 4.5 months. As I mentioned, that's nearly 16,000 miles, so 25,000 kilometers roughly. We went through 33 countries, and we finally limped Ferdy into Singapore on Saturday, the 16th of December. On the way through the border, we obviously took plenty of notice of the signs. They don't mess about with people who don't do what they're told going into Singapore. So we behaved ourselves, and they let us in very nicely. I was dreading this particular border crossing, having been sort of cavity searched both Land Rovers and other things in many places. This was the one I thought would be the worst, and it turned out to be about the easiest. Once in Singapore, I found. Once in Singapore, we headed straight to Raffles Hotel, traditional finishing line. And after the obligatory champagne spraying all over the remaining vehicle and lots of Singapore slings in the long bar, that was it. We couldn't really fathom that we'd finished. So that's it from me. That's literally that journey in as short a time as I can do it. I'm pleased to say that our journey sparked the imagination of quite a few people. So we gathered a good Instagram, YouTube, and social media following along the way. We raised $200,000 for the chosen charities. I'm delighted to say that $75,000, so just over £60,000, is going to Darjeeling Children's Trust. First of that's dribbled in on Friday, and the rest of the payments are coming this week. So thank you very much, everybody, for listening to our little journey. My bum is no longer numb. but it was a life-changing experience. And one thing we've all agreed, those of us that were on our expedition, is that we will continue to support Darjeeling Children's Trust for as long as we can, because we've got to know the people there, the kids there, and we are in awe of the work that is done by the charity. So thank you.
Tom, what an extraordinary story. And is it a once in a lifetime experience?
That one is, yeah. I am planning something, not this year, but next year, that will be longer, bigger, and we've got a very, very ambitious financial target there. We were very lucky, Hugh, that we sort of struck a chord with a few corporates that we have relationships with directly or indirectly, and one tequila company, for example, was a very major sponsor for us, and a couple of others as well, and they're all wanting to know what's next. So we are, from next April onwards, not this April, next April onwards, we're planning to do something longer and bigger, which I suppose it would, I can say it would complete a full global circumnavigation if you count what we've done from London to Singapore.
Well, sounds wonderful. And on behalf of all of us, just thank you so much for researching and selecting to support Darjeeling Children's Trust. An incredible amount of money you've raised.
Our privilege, really. A joy and a privilege. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wasn't that just something? But we are now going from one incredible adventure story to another. Because I'm now going to introduce you to Marilyn Adams, who was, as we said earlier, a founding trustee, past chairperson, but also Marilyn is the stalwart behind the Children's Home Redevelopment Project. And I think it's fitting that in Marilyn's final year as trustee, that you'll be joining us in Darjeeling in a couple of months' time, Marilyn, to see the eventual completion of the children's home. So over to you.
Thank you, Hugh, and hello, everybody. Well, Hugh mentioned earlier that I first went to Darjeeling in 2007 as a volunteer teacher. It was in one of the poorer schools, government-run schools in the town. Our routine was to attend school in the mornings, but the afternoons were usually free. We were staying with Major Wongdi, and he made arrangements for all the volunteers to visit either the boys or the girls' orphanages in the afternoons. The homes were run by the Kripasaran Buddhist mission, and the monk in charge was Pema Bante. The home for 40 girls was in an old building. It had undergone many changes, from originally being a private home, then a restaurant, and finally a children's home. The boys lived on a separate site in a building which had been purposefully built. However, it was about 80 years old, and cracks appeared in the ceilings and walls, and there was mould everywhere. The cracks were often the result of earth movements and the quality of the building materials used at the time. There was no set agenda for our visits. It was simply to interact with the young people and to keep them company. We weren't there to ask them about the details of their lives, why they were living there, or what their family circumstances were. If they wanted, they could tell us. But essentially, we were there to keep each other company, to have a bit of a giggle, a bit of a laugh, a few games, a bit of singing and dancing. And that is what we did, as you can see here. Next slide, please. I think I talk for everyone without exception that we all loved being with those children. Some were as young as 7 years old, and all were away from whatever family they might have. Despite this, they were all cheerful and welcoming beyond words. It would have been hard not to empathise with them and to want to help them. I think it's worth reminding ourselves very briefly of the conditions in the home, which were Spartan and in poor condition. Next slide, please. The girls' home was dark with little natural light and ventilation, and in some sleeping areas there was little headroom to stand up in. Next slide, please. The boys' dormitories were cheerless. Concrete was falling from mouldy walls and from ceilings. Next slide, please. That's the outside of the buildings, and you can see the mould on the walls. Remove the slide, please. In 2008, Darjeeling's Children Trust was founded and officially registered, and I returned to Darjeeling. During this visit, I met Pema Bante, and he told us of his vision. It was to replace the old buildings and to provide a new home for all the children on the site of the existing boys' home. He also showed us a site plan and design he had had commissioned. By that time, I had visited the boys' home and knew the site. With a background in town planning, I was immediately struck that the plan and the design that Pema Bante showed us bore little resemblance to the site boundaries and its shape. It was clearly unworkable. It simply couldn't be achieved. So in 2009, DCT trustees agreed to fund a new topographical survey which showed the site boundaries accurately and the contours. A new partnership and a project group was born. It comprised myself as DCT lead, together with DCT trustee Major Wongdi on the far right, Pema Bante, who set out the brief for the project, Raghavan, who's to my left, a Delhi-based architect with knowledge and expertise of construction in the hills, and finally Ranjita Prasad, second from left, who runs a project management company in Darjeeling, and Ramesh, her engineer, who's next to Raghavan. Recently, Ashwin, DCT's project officer in Darjeeling, has played an important role as well. Next slide, please. Site meetings followed, sometimes in unlikely locations, such as the top of partially constructed buildings, which felt fairly precarious. Next slide, please. Plans were discussed by email in the days before we all had Zoom, and a consensus was always reached on the way forward. In 2010, DCT funded the preparation of a concept plan for which Pema Bante provided the brief. It provided for the phased redevelopment of the construction. The girls would eventually move from their accommodation in phase 2. The groundbreaking ceremony took place in 2012, attended by DCT trustee Hugh Heron. Next slide, please. The first phase, the boys' accommodation, was completed in November 2014. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. It was a really happy occasion and they absolutely loved the accommodation. Phase 2A, which allowed the girls to move to the site, was opened in November 2021. It was another joyous occasion. Next slide, please. Just shows one of their dormitories and a group of the girls actually being in the sunshine. Next slide, please. It was a very, very cheerful occasion. We had lots of singing and dancing and celebration. Remove the slide, please. Now, nearly 15 years after the start, construction is complete. There have been difficulties along the way, strikes, inflation, another earthquake. Throughout all this, though, the project has been sustained by the belief and support of all those who have generously raised funds to help the children. Critically, it has also been supported by the input over the last 15 years by the professional work and expertise of Raghavan, Ranjita and Ramesh. And I would like to take this opportunity to recognise their huge contribution. I'm delighted that Raghavan is able to join us today from Delhi. But just before he does, can I just tell you that this is the outline of the site, showing it ringed by lots of different buildings. It's a very steep hillside site. So welcome to Raghavan. We're going to see a split screen, I think, with myself and Raghavan. Hello, Raghavan, and welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
Hello, good evening to you in Delhi.
Yes, thank you.
Raghavan, I talked about the start of the project. Could you describe the design principles you wanted to embody in the design of the new buildings?
Yes. But before that, I really want to express my deepest gratitude to the DCT team for the extraordinary commitment that they had to bring this transformative project to the lives of the young people. So I'll just be brief regarding the design principle. Of course, the site was very steep. Darjeeling has a lot of rainfall, And one of the key problems is landslides. So initially in the site visit, I needed to identify the natural drainage of the site, because once it is disturbed, then it leads to a lot of difficulties. And coincidentally, we found that the main drainage was roughly across the center of the site. And also there were some existing pathways. So we utilized that as a kind of a guiding principle for the layout of the building. So we had this central sort of a spine from which the various buildings were connected. And second is, we did not want to disturb the slope of the site. So we used the principle of cut and fill. We did not flatten the land at all, because that would have been expensive, and also it would be not ecological, I would think. And the third was, as you heard, that the existing dormitories were very dark and dingy with no sunlight. I really wanted to bring a lot of sunlight into the dormitories. So the orientation was towards the mountains. So in the dormitories, when you look out, you can see the mountains. So these were some of the things, but also in terms of an intangible aspect is that we laid a lot of emphasis on the hygiene of the way the toilets were designed and so on. So that's it, very briefly.
Okay, thank you. I think we've probably covered most of the challenges in designing the new home. But how did you approach developing the site without moving the boys elsewhere?
Yeah. So there was an existing structure, and we knew that the place where that existing structure would be demolished, but we planned the entire complex in such a way that in phases, we had phase 1 and phase 2. So in phase 1, we rebuilt the boys' hostel at a lower level. And once the boys moved in, then we were able to demolish the existing structure in the second phase, and then we accommodated. Actually, I would like to mention here that the requirements were quite large in terms of what all we needed to do. And I think we were able to accommodate all those facilities in a very tight sloping site. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously there's difficulty with access as well. There was no vehicular access to the site whatsoever. So I think this slide probably shows that everything had to be manhandled up and down very lengthy, steep steps onto the site. So any waste materials had to be taken away. I mean, that must have been a challenge in itself.
Yes. The inaccessibility of the site meant that we could not have any equipment which we normally use in construction. So most of the things were done manually, and it was very, very labor intensive. And also the materials had to come from a faraway town. So all these processes made the construction slow. It was tedious. And the other part was that the site was very rocky, and we didn't have the equipment. So it was done very patiently. At the same time, I also want to express my gratitude to the structural engineer who's not here. He's ailing. But most of the time, we had to take decisions based on what we were uncovering, the site. And they were very, I think, ingenious the way we tackled the situations on the site with very little equipment.
Yeah. Next slide, please. I think this illustrates the some of the difficulty of trying to build something where part of the site has already been redeveloped on the left, and you're taking down some of the existing buildings, and you're dealing with unstable land as well at the same time, overlooked by buildings very close to the boundary. It's not an easy job. Next slide, please. This again shows some of the difficulties you were talking about. The top left, the ground conditions, these enormous boulders. It took a great deal of strength and persistency to break up some of these huge rocks that you mentioned. Could we go back to the split screen, please? Okay. I mean, I think it's been a wonderful accomplishment, Raghavan, and I think that your design has enhanced the lives of the children with the amount of light that comes into the buildings, the way that the buildings face the valley, have wonderful views, and just the air that goes through the buildings, and together with the light. So thank you very much. And thank you as well for your contribution and coming along today. Is there anything that you would like to add?
I'd just like to say that I feel very privileged to be part of this story. It's really very gives me great happiness to be able to contribute at least something for the project which has made a difference to so many lives. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your contribution. And I would now like to introduce a new video produced by DCT Project Officer Ashwin Pradhan, which illustrates the life the children now have. I believe that the film will show you that the new home is just more than just bricks and mortar. It's a holistic environment in which 100 young people who live there can grow and flourish year on year. So thank you to all our supporters for helping create that. So over to the film.
It's 2024 in Darjeeling. As the toy train sets the day forward, the children at Kripasaran Buddhist Mission are getting ready for a new day. The Himalayas simmer and the children kickstart their day with a healthy meal.
Bye-bye.
This yellow structure is a project of Darjeeling Children Trust, and over the years, it has redeveloped to be a home for the children in need. Wonder how it started? Here's a reflection. More than a decade ago, the condition of the children was very poor. The children had very little access to the basic health and well-being facilities. Their bedroom was nothing more than a crawl space above their dining room. Their home was in a dilapidated state where no sunlight seeped in and the girls suffered from various skin diseases. Similarly, the boys lived in a shabby old building where major cracks had been developed due to the earthquake.
When earthquake had came last year, damaged many places. Crack here. We are feeling unsafe because sometimes something falls from.
Building in the foothills of the Himalayas comes with a fair share of problems. From the hardships, a beautiful building started to take a shape, a true symbol of hope. As time passed by, the boys' accommodation was completed on November of 2014. Soon after, a new building for the girls started to emerge. On November 2019, the girls were shifted to their new home. Their excitement and happiness spread like the rays of the sun at dawn. Simultaneously, the construction work of the new kitchen, office, and the water harvesting tank also began. Finally, the Children's Home Redevelopment Project by Darjeeling Children Trust has reached its final phase.
कमलको फूल झै तिम्रो कमलो मुहार
सारा जगतलाई उज्यालो पार्ने तिम्रो हँसाइ हृदयमा छापिने साँचो तिम्रो हेराइ तिम्रो खुसीमा नै मेरो खुसी आनी गाँसेछ
Building a home for the children is just the beginning. The home has evolved in a living entity which needs your support and love. It has been an incredible story of life, and we want you, our supporters, to be a part of this journey with the radiant children of Darjeeling. You can support Darjeeling Children Trust by going through the link displayed in the screen or by scanning the QR code. This link will direct you to our Just Giving page. Thank you for your love and support.
So, I mean, I've been involved with the Trust day to day for 16 years, and I can't help but be inspired every time I see a video like that wonderful one from Ashby. And I don't think anything that we say could be as powerful as seeing the difference for those children and for the children who come after them as a result of the children's home and the wonderful place that they have to live. So I guess I don't want to say any more than just a huge thank you to everybody on this call for your support and your love and help that you've given us. It really has been a community effort to get to this point. And if you've been inspired by what you've seen, then please tell your friends and carry on supporting us because we will carry on helping the children and young people on your behalf. So thank you for giving up your time to listen today. Back to Hugh and Akasa to finish the call.
Well, thank you very much. You know, I've watched that last video 2 or 3 times now, and it gets me every time. I think some of the happiest moments in my life over the last 15 years have been spent down at that children's home, just enjoying being with the children. I remember so clearly the leap of faith that we took as a trust 14 years ago when we agreed to back that project to reconstruct the home. We had no money whatsoever, but we just decided to go for it. And I'm so glad that we did. Thank you everyone who's been involved today. This is the end of our event. And putting on the event today has been a huge team effort for a lot of people. So I just want to show my appreciation for that, as well, of course, as the great team event that has taken place over the last 15 years of the Trust. I'm now going to pass over to Akasa to say the final words and goodbye. But for the moment, goodbye from me.
Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed the event today. If you do, thank you to all of you who are already supporting the work. As Casey mentioned, please do spread the word. We're a really small charity and we need your support to continue this amazing work. At the last slide there, Alan, if you could just move on to the last slide. Oh, I think Hugh, were you going to say a few words about Marilyn and Robert here?
Well, yeah, I mean, I kind of mentioned it earlier, but Robert and Marilyn have spent so much of their lives over the last few years going backward and forward to Darjeeling and just dedicated so much expertise, time, effort, paid for all their own flights and accommodation. So I just wanted to say on behalf of all of us, a big thank you to you, Marilyn, and to Robert. For everything that you've done for us and for the children of Darjeeling.
So these are a few ways you can get involved in our work. We have an amazing ball that Sharon and Hugh and the DCT team in London are supporting. Save the date for that. That's going to be on Saturday, 23rd of November. If you are in London or plan to be there, it'll be at the Mayfair Hotel and we'll release information as soon as we can there. If you want to connect with us, if you run a business or want to set up a link with your workplace or have relevant skills and want to volunteer, we want to hear from you. Please do join our mailing list. I'll drop the link in the chat before everyone leaves, or get in touch by emailing us at info@Darjeeling Children's Trust. And some of you may have an inner adventurer like Mike or Tom that you heard today. I definitely don't. A more low-key fundraising event is also welcome. If a walk, a sponsored walk or a Darjeeling tea party would be great. So if you want to organize, please do so. And finally, as Ashwin mentioned in that wonderful video, if you want to set up a monthly donation, please scan that QR code and it will take you to our Just Giving page. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you've had a lovely time and thank you for everyone for being part of this event today.